We're in Dubrovnik's old city. We'll start with a walk around the city wall, then walk on some side streets, visit the Maritime Museum, and then some churches. These massive fortifications and walls started over 1,000 years ago and have been expanded and reinforced through the 17th century. Our ship docked 3 kilometers from Dubrovnik's old city. We took a Holland America bus from our ship to just outside the Pile Gate, which we are entering now. Our early arrival, both in terms of season and time of day, allows us to avoid waiting in a long line to enter the city. Walking the city wall costs 40 euros. In 2012, when I visited previously, it was 70 kuna, around 10 euros. Sometimes it can get crowded at one of the entry points for the wall. The steps are steep, so be careful going up and down. I did not take video going up these steps because I did not want to break myself at the start of the cruise. Fortunately, it was not too crowded once I made it on top of the wall. There are multiple defensive bastions along the wall, so you can get an excellent view of the city as well as take a break. The city walls are nearly 2 kilometers long, about 1.2 miles. The basic design of the walls dates to 1292, when Dubrovnik was ruled by the Republic of Venice. The peak of construction was from the beginning of the 15th century until late in the 16th century. It defended against Turkish attacks and later against Venetian threats. There are plenty of places to stop to rest, take photos, or just enjoy the scenery. This city was founded in the early 7th century by Roman refugees fleeing the sack of Epidaurus, a city to the southeast, together with a colony of Slavs. The Roman refugees called it Ragusa, probably because of rocky cliffs here, while the Slavs called it Dubrovnik because of the oak forest here at the time. The names Dubrovnik and Ragusa coexisted for centuries. Ragusa was the official name of the Republic from 1358 until 1808. This republic reached its commercial peak in the 15th and 16th centuries. It was conquered by Napoleon and annexed by the Napoleonic Kingdom of Italy in 1808. We're on St. John's Fortress along the southeast side of the city. This fortress was vital to prevent pirates and other hostile ships from getting entry to the port. Heavy chains are stretched between this fort and a jetty to block access. The motto of Ragusa was Non bene pro toto libertas venditur auro, which translates to liberty is not well sold for all of the gold. Surd Hill rises above the city in the north. At the top of Surd Hill you get an excellent view of Dubrovnik and the surrounding area. We rode a cable car up this hill on a previous visit. Fort Imperial was built on this hill by the French in 1810 during the Napoleonic Wars. The southern slope was covered by a pine forest, but this was destroyed during the Croatian War of Independence in the 1990s. We saw trenches and historical information on these battles and the siege of Dubrovnik. Let's continue our climb up the north side of the wall. Roof tiles can last 80 to 100 years. Darker roof tiles are older than lighter colored ones that may be more recent replacements. Over 60% of the buildings were damaged or destroyed during the siege of Dubrovnik from October 1991 until May of 1992, with attacks by the Yugoslav People's Army and Serbian Montenegrin forces against the Croatian forces fighting for Croatian independence. We're now in the Minšeta Tower, built in the mid-15th century to deter and defend against attacks by the Turkish invaders. Depending on your speed, it can take anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours to walk the wall. It can get hot walking on the wall in direct sunlight, so you may want to bring water. The Franciscan monastery is in front of us. It contains artwork and a historical pharmacy. We made a full loop around the wall and are now heading down to the streets of the city. Onofria's large fountain was built in 1438 and is a good place to refill bottles of water. It is a common meeting place for tourists and is right next to Pile Gate. We're on a side street now as we head east. The stonework in the buildings is excellent, and the streets are clean and in good condition. Stores were beginning to open up. The market had a lot of fresh produce for locals, as well as souvenirs for tourists. A monument of Ivan Gondelech. This region was a maritime and trade power for centuries. The Maritime Museum, which is inside Fort St. John, contains Greek, Roman, Ragusian, Venetian, and other period artifacts, as well as models of different classes of ships, and descriptions of many historical events that occurred in this area, and also historical trade routes and cargoes carried. The upper floor of the museum contains more recent maritime history, including more recent sailing ships, steamships, and even diesel-powered ships. Information on powerful shipping families and gear used on these ships is described. Right around the corner from the Maritime Museum was a sanctuary for homeless cats. Donations were being collected for cat food. The Cathedral of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary was built between 1673 and 1713 after the previous cathedral here was severely damaged by an earthquake in 1667. Video was not allowed inside, but it's worth a visit for the Titian triptych above the altar and 182 reliquaries from the 11th to 18th centuries, including gold and jewel-cased body parts such as the arm, leg, and skull of Saint Blaise, the patron saint of Dubrovnik. The Rector's Palace. City Hall and Marin Drizek Theater. The Bell Tower, Sponza Palace. Now from in front of the Bell Tower and Sponza Palace. St. Blaise's Church. The altar shows a high level of craftsmanship. We're on Placa Stradin, the main street, with many other visitors, outdoor restaurants, and stores. St. Ignatius Church, also called the Jesuit Church, is part of what some say is Dubrovnik's most beautiful Baroque complex. It was opened in 1729. The frescoes are amazing. I could not find information about this grotto on the side. The small side streets are worth exploring to gain an understanding of where regular people lived in this city for centuries. It's also a good way to avoid the deluge of other visitors. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. Please hit like and subscribe to help it get shared.